Luke in Tampa, Florida asks, why is there an ever-growing gap in the wealth between the rich and the poor? This is a very big talking point among leftists, progressive and or Keynesian economists, yet I've not heard many Austrian economists address this point.
Well, right now you do have a widening gap between the very rich and everybody else. So it's not just between the very rich and the poor. The middle class are also losing ground. And this is not a natural byproduct of capitalism. This is a consequence of the crony capitalism that we have today, where a small group of people are a direct beneficiary of the cheap money policies of the Federal Reserve. The Fed's policies favor the speculators, the financiers, hedge funds. They favor people who can make money with money, not through labor, not through hard work, but those that can make money based on the money they already have. And a lot of it has to do with leverage and just speculating that doesn't necessarily grow the economy. In a normal free market, when the rich get richer, they enrich everybody else. They enrich their customers, they enrich their employees. But when cheap money is spread around Wall Street, the only people who get rich are the people who get the money. So other people aren't helped. It's not a rising tide lifting all boats. It's some boats rising and sucking the water out from the other boats that are sinking. So this is a predictable consequence of the cheap money policies of the Fed, and it's also the result of the taxes and the regulations that make it harder to accumulate capital, that diminish the pool of capital that is available to finance legitimate investment that creates real wealth and real employment opportunities, and because of all the laws, rules, and regulations that are passed supposedly on behalf of workers, having to do with workers' rights or civil rights or whatever it is, but all these rules and regulations simply make it more and more expensive to hire people, and as a result, employment opportunities are diminished, and so fewer people can climb up the ladder. You know, starting from the minimum wage and working its way up, the government does all sorts of things to make the bottom rung of the job ladder just out of reach for so many people, and so they can't climb up. They can't raise their income, and to the extent that they do manage to get a job, so much of their incomes are taken in taxes that they can't save their assets and develop any kind of a net worth. So this is government policy. It's not a natural thing, and it wasn't always this way in America. It's this way now because of the big government and the Federal Reserve policies that we're pursuing. So if we really don't want this big gap, if we want to narrow the gap, the solution is not to steal from the rich and give the stolen money to everybody else or to give it to the poorest of us. That's not going to work. Right? That was the Soviet solution. It doesn't work. What we need to do is get government out of the way, get rid of all these rules, regulations, and taxes, and restore free market capitalism and constitutional government to the United States, and that will narrow the gap between the rich and the poor, and will also make everybody richer, including the poor and the middle class.